First of all, welcome to, of course, the rise of Persia. And what we're going to be taking a look at initially are the new factions, or at least the new army lists. Of course, some of these factions have already been around for a while, but we've got some interesting new army lists. So specifically, we've of course got the Assyrians. Everybody knows about the Assyrians, guys, come on. And we've got the Assyrians from 681 to 609 BC. Just like every other faction in this game, you're going to get a really nice explanation down here about the faction itself, how it came to be, what happened to it, etc., etc. And almost all of these, of course, eventually fell apart. We've also got one faction, which I never heard about. Again, the Elamites, or the Elamites. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced the Elamites. And let's take a look at these guys right here. So this region was southeast of Mesopotamia in modern Iran. For those of you that don't know, of course, Mesopotamia is really just the heart of civilization. One could almost say that the river valley in that area was just extremely good for building a city, building a society, etc. So these Elamites seem to be sort of allies to the Mesopotamians. We've, of course, got Egypt as well, but we've got the 665 BC army list of Egypt. We've got the Hebrews, and we've got the 665 BC army of the Hebrews. We've also got the Medians. Now, the Medians, again, I don't know too much about these guys. But if we go over here, we take a look, and we've got the Medians from 826 to 627 BC. And once again, we've got the army list here for way in the past. Really fascinating stuff, guys. And finally, we've got the Lydians. And if we take a look at the Lydian army list, go over here, and we've got, of course, 687 to 51 BC and 550 to 546 BC. So neat, right? And what I want to do here is I want to go back, and I want us to jump into a battle, my friends. That's the proper thing to do this DLC. Now. I don't know if you guys are like me. I absolutely am fascinated by this time period, but I really like going back even farther into the past, because this is actually a time period I know very little about. AD, yeah, I know most of the stuff that goes on, but in terms of 687 BC, I'm pretty lost. So let's take a look here. And we are going to jump into a battle, of course, one of the epic battles in this game. And we're going to jump into, of course, the rise of Persia. And we could take a look at some of these epic battle lists. Some of these epic battles were fascinating, and I think I already know the one I want to play. That's the Battle of Megiddo. If anybody knows about the Battle of Megiddo, let's see if you can type it in the comments here before I explain it, because this is actually a fascinating fight. Now, we've got, of course, a battle here, the Battle of Ulai, against the Assyrians, against the Elamites, or the Elamites. In Nineveh, we've got the Battle of the Babylonians against the Assyrians. And in Megiddo, we've got the battle of the Judeans against the Egyptians. This is the battle I think I want to take a look at, guys. We'll go ahead and read the explanation for the battle itself. After the fall of Nineveh and the death of King Sin-Sharishkun, the Assyrian regrouped under a new king, Ashurbanipal II, based around the city of Haran. Their ally, Pharaoh Necho II of Egypt, marched north with a large army to assist the Assyrians. The Egyptians' route took them through the territory of the kingdom of Judah. The Judean king Josiah was an opponent of Assyria and rejected Necho's request for safe passage. As the Egyptian army was marching past the city of Megiddo, the Judean army appeared in battle array, determined to halt the Egyptian advance. Now, unfortunately for the Judeans, in this particular battle, they were absolutely crushed by the Egyptians, which makes sense. Judea, which was a very, very tiny kingdom compared to Egypt, which was absolutely massive. This absolutely makes sense. We've also got the Battle of Carchemish, and this is post-Megiddo. So this is after the Egyptians beat the Judeans at Megiddo. They moved on to fight, of course, the Babylonians. That's also a fascinating battle right there, and between two superpowers, basically. Over here, the Battle of Pasargadae, the Persians and the Medians, again, not too sure about this battle, and the Battle of Opis, the Persians against the Babylonians. And you guys should know this one. This is, of course, the battle under Cyrus the Great. And after conquering the Medes, Cyrus had been victorious against the Lydian Empire. The only other major power in the region was the Neo-Babylonian Empire, then ruled by Nabonidus. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who was becoming unpopular due to his preference for the moon god over the traditional Babylonian national god Marduk. So guys, I'm going to leave it to you guys to select the battle here. I would recommend Megiddo, and again, I haven't looked at any of these battles. This just happens to be my personal favorite, but there's a lot of great stuff here. So we'll give it about a minute or two, and I'll let you guys choose which battle you'd like us to take a look at. Once again, guys, the Judeans lost this battle pretty badly. And we're going to try to completely change history. We've selected the Judeans. Of course, you can play as either side in this game of any of these battles. It's totally up to you. And we're going to accept and move in to the Battle of Megiddo. All right, here we go, guys. So we've got some interesting stuff here for our army. And as always, I mean, the unit models get cooler and cooler every DLC I take a look at. Look at these chariots, man. Look at those chariots. Just fascinating stuff. We've, of course, got the Hebrew foot archers, or the Hebrew foot soldiers, I should say. And just really nice character models here. I'm loving that. Now, we've got some interesting stuff that I wouldn't expect us to be able to get, but apparently we get some Assyrian-style heavy chariots. Now, I think the reason they're probably called Assyrian-style is because these are not actually Assyrian heavy chariots, but basically the Judeans' take on the heavy chariot itself. Over here, we've got the Giborim. This is basically a Hebrew foot unit that's got a spear and a sword, so they can deal with cavalry, and they can also deal with infantry if they have to. And I think I want to get some of these guys. Unfortunately, they're quite expensive, and so what I'm going to do is just get one of them, and I am going to accept that army setup. Now, we'll jump over to Egypt in a second, but as you can imagine, look at this army. Now, one thing about this battle that you guys can probably see here, the Egyptian army is facing basically not totally away from us, but they're basically, they're showing their side to us. And the reason is because Egypt sort of just planned to move right through this area, and it was the Judeans that came out and ambushed them or attacked them. They didn't necessarily suspect that the Judeans were going to fight them because, of course, just look at the difference in armies here. I mean, the Egyptians have so many men, but a lot of these men are regulars, foot soldiers, etc., and hopefully we can beat them with our tactics. Not so sure, though, folks. So first things first, I'm going to move up the archers. And I think for any ambush to really work the way you want it to, you've got to get into it fast. And I'm just going to try to get into this as fast as I possibly can. So I'm moving forward with the foot. I'm going to move forward with these Assyrian-style chariots. And if I can push a little bit more with my cav, I will. Even if I can push a little bit more with these chariots. So I'm going to go ahead and move up a bit more here. Just really trying to win the battle of speed, honestly. As soon as those guys notice, and they're going to notice right away that we are ambushing them, they're going to try and turn. And if we can catch them in a few turns, I think we're going to be just fine. So let's go ahead and hit these light javelin horse. Almost looks like kind of a scout unit that the Egyptians are sending out to take a look at the surrounding countryside. And they're going to be the first to feel the wrath of the Judeans. Let's turn and fire here. Of course, turning and firing, as opposed to just firing, is generally more effective. And I'm actually surprised at the distance here that these Hebrew light archers are capable of. I'm going to move up a little bit more to get an even better shot. And once again, those skirmishers are taking a nasty hit, but not nearly enough to really worry them. If we take a look also at the Egyptian army units, let's go ahead and do that, guys. I know some of you guys are really fascinated by Egypt, and once again, the models look great. And really what I would expect Egyptian foot soldiers to have during this period of 600, 700, 800 BC, etc. Not exactly a lot in terms of armor there, as you can see, especially these Egyptian spearmen. They've got a shield, and they've got a spear and a helmet. And that's pretty much all you need, and if you're in a desert climate, that's pretty much all you want. So here we go. Let's end the turn and see what the Egyptians are going to do. Please don't turn immediately towards us, guys. Just pretend you don't see us for a bit. Oh, I think they're getting ready. Oh, some of them are turning. But it's taking a while. I mean, they're in this very long line. They're right next to one another, so it could be a bit... Nope. Nope. They about-faced immediately. That's Murphy's Law for you. The second I was like, maybe we can avoid this. No, not even close. So there we go. They managed to impact on our archers. Our archers didn't even try to evade here, which means these guys are going to be really, really fast. All right, back to us, folks. Now, I could actually go for a charge here if it was in my, if the charge was going to work out. Unfortunately here, the impact is not going to work very well, but the actual post-melee will. Well, what does that mean? That means is basically if we can stay in that charge and not run and retreat, then next turn we'll actually probably do pretty well against these units. But I think I have another idea, and that's to try to flank these skirmisher units with our cavalry. So let's go ahead and start doing that. I could have just sent that unit right through, which I probably should have. And I think now we're going into individual movement. So I want to see how this chariot... I know this chariot's not going to be able to catch up to this guy, but I'm really curious to see what happens here. And of course, this is our secondary general, Yoram. So let's see if he can catch up. No. Yeah, no way. I didn't expect us to anyway, so that's all right. Let's move the Hebrew chariots over here over this way. And again, we're kind of going for a pincer movement for the light cavalry. But hopefully what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping the enemy's going to push towards us, and this pincer movement with our cavalry can be used against those units. As for our spearmen, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we can't move them together. And this is another sub-general, Zechariah. These are, of course, all Judean names. I don't like how I set these spearmen up. I should have moved forward with these archers, which I'll do right now. Move forward. Here we go, boys. And I guess these guys will sort of carry the back of our lines, as it were. But some of these guys will be capable of actually moving right up there. Let me take a look again at the attack. I know this is like, it's a really risky decision, so I'm actually going to do the right thing here and move out of the way. Let's move our spearmen up to deal with the situation. After all, you know, if we have to take on archer or horse archers or cavalry, we should probably be using our spearmen anyway, or our cavalry. So I'm not going to put our archers in danger, pull them back, and, you know, maybe save them for a rainy day. All right, let's end the turn. That's it. Move forward. That's exactly what we want. Fall right into our trap. So I might even stop right now. I'm trying to think of kind of what I want to do, but I might just stop. I might let these guys just attack us. Of course, I think historically, and I don't know 100% about this battle, but I'm pretty sure that historically the Judeans made the first move. You know, of course, the Egyptian army wasn't expecting them necessarily, so that could also be the case. But we'll see what happens. And keep in mind the Judeans did lose this battle, so maybe we don't want to make the first move. Maybe we want to do exactly the opposite of what they actually did during the fight itself. So those Egyptian chariots, I mean, you can just absolutely tell that the quality there is just beautiful. I'm not sure if that's bronze or gold. I'm guessing it's probably bronze. Either way, amazing. And look at this. We actually managed to fragment the Egyptian light javelin men. That was not supposed to happen, but maybe we get an easy retreat here from them. Let's try. 34. That wasn't enough to send them running. Turn and shoot. 8. Not enough to send them running, unfortunately. I am so determined to get these guys to run. I mean, when you get a chance like this, there we go. And the first unit is going to break, guys. We got first blood. The Egyptian light javelin men are running, and we can see one of their friends there fallen. That's exactly what I want to see. So I don't like the fact that we've got these enemy spearmen getting very close, and we have very little to defend against them with. So I think what we need to do is just kind of extend our own spear line as best we can. And we got to get this cavalry out of here, man. I mean, they're not going to do well against the spearmen. So I'm going to actually start moving these chariots over to where the other enemy chariots are, and hopefully we can actually take the fight to them. Maybe even hit them in the flank and get an amazing result. I don't think I've ever had a battle where it was just purely chariot versus chariot. So that would be interesting. All right, the Egyptian cavalry is definitely concerning me. I'm going to turn this chariot around to face him. I'm going to start moving out with the spearmen like we did on the other side of the battle. And I'm going to stay put. I'm not moving forward with my spearmen. I want to see what the enemy does. Another thing I want to do is go ahead and let's fire at these spearmen. Get a few hits there. Let's fire at these chariots, excuse me. And we'll bring these archers up to deal with the enemy cavalry. Now, of course, they're not going to be able to make them retreat, but they could probably put some pretty good damage down on them. By the way, let's take a look at this Giborim unit. I really like the way they look. This was sort of the elite unit we got for 66 gold. and pretty good unit. Again, sort of a hybrid between a spearman and a just regular foot soldier. But I think they're going to come in very, very useful, very handy, I should say, as the battle progresses. All right, get those archers up. Okay, let's go ahead and turn it over to them. All right, we've got continued melee fighting here, and unfortunately those spearmen are getting a lot closer than I anticipated they would that quickly. Well, this is a scary situation. If chariots are anything like normal cavalry, they're not going to do well against spearmen. So we've got to decide what we want to do with these units, and oddly enough, one of the possibilities, I've done this before in this game, and it's worked out all right, is to basically take our chariots and just go through their lines. In other words, just totally ignore their units and see if we can't just break through, get behind them, and then they have to turn to face us. That gives us enough time to sort of get away. But I think in this situation, they're going to catch us. And these Egyptians are pretty good at taking down chariots. So let's see what happens. Oh boy. Okay, this actually may have worked out. Got a skirmisher unit right there showing his, basically showing his side to us. This could work out. Again, it really depends on a number of different factors. All right, they're already firing at our chariots. No surprise there. Okay, back to us, folks. What do we do? What do we do? Well, first of all, we're still going to chase this guy. And, of course, we got the Assyrian-style chariot. Look at the damage from just a missile attack. 40. I mean, that's beautiful. So I want to move up with our archers here as well. Hit these skirmishers. I don't want them getting behind us. Makes me uncomfortable. And I'm going to try to get the Hebrew foot soldiers up here too. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to attack this turn, but the important thing is we've got a nice spearman unit, or foot soldier unit, facing the enemy cavalry. I really want to charge here with this chariot, but I just don't think it's the right thing to do. I almost want to ask Alexius here for his suggestion. But I think what we're probably going to do is go ahead and just fire. Because we could charge here, probably break these guys, but we're potentially going to run across a group of mercenary hoplites. And yeah, you better bet that the Egyptians could absolutely afford mercenary hoplites. So it's a tough decision. Let me just take a look. Yeah, there's no way that the charge is going to work. Nor would I want to do that. The charge here would work pretty well. But again, it's a big risk. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Charge them, says Zach Blood. Charge them. It's not a good idea. All right. I mean, that's probably what I would have done anyway. I'm a pretty reckless attacker, so you know what? We're going to charge. But wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is Yoram. This is one of our generals. Oh, well. Let's do it. So we actually got a nice rear attack, but as you can see, all that the enemy has to do is charge in with those mercenary hoplites, and we're finished. And actually, Galanos is the allied general here of the Egyptians, and he could very well do some serious damage to our army. I'm going to start pushing forward. Again, I was trying to stay back, but I think at this point, we absolutely need to start pushing forward. Well, what should we do with this unit? I'm going to retreat. Let's try to save our skirmisher units for once. Here we're actually going to take some reactionary fire, I believe. Let's see. I really do want to fire, but I just think the most important thing to do right now is really set our lineup. So let's do that. And let's see how these Egyptian chariots deal with our foot soldiers. I'm assuming they're going to do pretty well, to be honest. What I will do is I'm going to move back with our archers. I'll move forward with some of these archers to get a decent shot off. But I'm going to leave this to the Giborim, and I want to see how the Giborim deal with the chariot. And probably not very well. As you can see there, in terms of the impact, it's never going to be very good. And our chance of a loss is going to stop me from even attempting this. But if you see on the bottom, the melee, that if we stay in the fight, we'd actually do all right. So the important thing is seeing whether or not these guys can stand one charge against that chariot. And I'm not sure they can, so I'm not going to go for it. But I'll take this Giborim unit, and I'm going to charge this skirmisher cav. Let's do it, boys! And they've fallen back. Beautiful. Let's move up. Well, we could fire, or We could continue moving. I think I'm going to definitely continue moving. My biggest concern is what's going to happen to our chariots here. And this is our commander-in-chief, Josiah. So we don't want to lose Josiah. You know, this is a very important leader. So I'd rather they attack our archers here. We actually managed to disrupt those skirmisher units. Let's move over. I just don't think we're going to be able to escape with that chariot unit, unfortunately. We'll do what we can do here, and that's going to be turn and fire. So again, excellent hits there, but just look at this Egyptian line that's extended out. And I think this is probably why, or one of the many reasons why the Egyptians won this battle, is just the massive amount of men here. They can absolutely envelop us if we're not quick enough. So I'm going to fire at that unit again. I think that's the biggest threat to our cavalry right now. Actually, this unit probably is. And we'll start pushing forward. Still got some more Giborim here, so I'll push them forward. Ooh, okay. Our archers are very good, so I'm going to go ahead, could potentially fragment this guy, or we could fire at the chariot. I think the chariot's a bigger threat, so I'm actually going to hit the chariot with our archers here. I'd love to knock down one of these guys. I'd love Alexius's opinion, actually, on the Assyrian chariots versus the Egyptian chariots, and which he believes are superior overall. Because I'm actually not sure myself. I would assume that the Assyrians have better chariots, but I could be wrong. Let's end this turn. Here we go. They're still running right back to Cairo. It's going to take a while, guys. So there we go. We sort of expected that. And they didn't go for the chariot. That's strange. Okay, so they actually went for my men. Oh, no, they still went for the chariot. Again, Murphy strikes again. Got all excited. I was like, oh, well, good. The AI made a mistake. No way. So we actually held, which is a somewhat good sign. But unless we can break that unit and get out of here, we're going to be stuck facing these spearmen. And as you can imagine, that's not going to end well for us. Okay, pretty nice throw there by the Egyptian light javelin men. They've been pretty mediocre so far, but there they absolutely shone. Okay, what can we do? Come on. All right, let's get a shot. I want to charge so badly. Here we go, guys. Assyrian chariots charging. No, no return. Hebrew chariots, excuse me. But we do have a, let me find it. I think it's just an Assyrian style chariot. Obviously, we don't have, I mean, we're not allied with Assyria as far as I know. Could turn and fire. What I'm going to do is actually see if I can weaken these guys a bit. A nice close shot. And now I will charge. Oh boy. Nasty defense there. Again, here we wouldn't do so well either. Here we might do okay. But again, if we stay in the fight, it's actually going against us. So I think this really depends on whether or not we can break through these guys. Again, with my chariot, I'm just going to fire, try to weaken them a bit, lower those numbers. I'd love to attack this commander-in-chief. Or actually, this is the secondary general. But the fact is, we're not going to do well against him. The chances of us doing well are 7%. Over here, we have somewhat of a better chance, and we might need to take that risk. But I think for now, I'm just going to wait. We'll just hold on. Try to extend this line a bit more because those Egyptians are going to be here very soon. Maybe we'll get a shot off here. Fragmented. Come on, boys. For Judea. You can do it. One more attack. If we can get it off, we can probably kill these guys. Or not kill them, but get them to run. There we go, an auto break. So that's beautiful. They didn't necessarily break due to loss of morale. They just broke due to loss of manpower. If we look at the strength of the unit, the original strength was 234 men. It's now down to 112. And yeah, I'd run too. I would definitely run. Probably run by the time like 10 guys went down. I'd be off that battlefield. What about this chariot? Man, I really want to take the chariots on, but I know better. Now, over here, maybe we could do okay against the hoplites. It's very, very, you know, it's all dependent on how the charge goes. Because if you look at the melee, we're just not going to do very well. Well, got to take a risk, right? Let's do it. Oh, boy. 92, man. That is rough. I mean, again, we're facing an incredibly good army here. We must keep that in mind. It's not like we're facing another sort of Middle Eastern tribe. We're actually facing, you know, the power of Egypt. So this is a tough one. I am going to push forward here, but I'm pretty sure, yep, of course he's going to break. And there's just nothing we can do here. Now, we could try to attack here, and I'm going to do it. So I'm going to try to attack this hoplite unit. Pretty even. And just keep them in the fight. That's really all I want to do is just keep them in the fight for now. And once again, this is a perfect example of a charge that would go poorly, but the actual fight afterwards would go well if we can stick it through. So I'm going to try to hang in there. Okay, good. That's actually very good. So we've hung in there. And once again here, the same thing applies. We're not going to do great on the charge, but if we can hang in the fight, we're actually going to come out of this pretty well. Unfortunately, they did manage to disrupt us. Let's push forward here, and let's push over here. Okay. Actually, I love doing this. Just having a unit right behind an enemy unit that's extremely dangerous, but they can't do a thing about it. So let's keep on firing at those chariots, see if we can at least lower the numbers there. I'm going to try and turn and fire. I'm pretty sure we can get a shot off here. And again, their commander-in-chief, or not their commander-in-chief, but their sub-general is just a bit too strong for us. We're not going to charge him. It's just not going to work out. But we can certainly move up. Sort of see if he'll fall into the trap of charging us. All right, it's looking pretty fierce, guys. It really is. Let's take a look here. Ah, thank you, Alexius. So, Alexius, in terms of the Egyptian and the Assyrian chariots, he's saying they're pretty much on the same sort of level. Fairly similar, more or less. So I actually had another question, Alexius. For instance, there were two factions that I really was not familiar with, the Libyans and the Elamites. Now, I actually have, I'm pretty sure I've read about the Elamites in the Bible. Is this something that is referenced in the Bible? Is this, you know, are the Elamites really an extremely important faction or sort of a sub-faction, if that makes sense? Because it's certainly one of the, I guess, ancient cultures that I never really knew about. Richard York is saying that Egyptian army looks very nice. It does, it does. And as Alexius mentioned, this is, of course, the 609 BC army list for the Egyptian army. So you'll see, like, with the more, I don't want to say modern, but with the more recent Egyptian army, they do have basic armor, stuff like that. But if you look at this one, it's kind of what you, at least the history books I read, it's kind of what the Egyptians are represented as, which is carrying a shield, a helmet, a spear, and that's it. No real frontal body armor, nothing like that. The shield is basically the armor, the only armor they have, and pretty much the only armor they need. Again, if you're going through the desert with heavy armor, you're not going to survive for very long. So I'm guessing that's probably one of the reasons, and maybe even cost-saving, you know, issues. Heavy armor is expensive. Let's be honest. Here we go. Let's get a shot on that chariot unit. Nice. And one thing I know is the Judean slingers are absolutely known for their skill. Of course, we have the story of King David, Goliath, all this stuff. Whether you think it's fact or fiction, you know, they're certainly known for having pretty good slingers. Let's push forward. I think that's going to be all we can do here. We could certainly push forward with the archers, but I'm going to go over here. I mean, as soon as those Egyptians break in over here, we're finished. They'll roll our army up like sourdough bread. It's just going to be no issue for them at all. All right, ending the turn and turning it over to the Egyptians. I love how that one skirmisher unit is still running. Like, man, you don't have to run. Your army's doing pretty well here. I would recommend sticking by. Don't think the Pharaoh's going to be very happy once he finds out you guys have taken off. But then again, you can explain it to him, right? Wow, 100 absolutely broke our unit there. An excellent attack by those spearmen. Just excellent. And there we actually managed to keep the enemy back, despite not facing them. We were kind of at an angle there. We did manage to keep the enemy back. So we absolutely do have some defensive potential here. But I don't think I can stop this massive Egyptian army coming towards us. I also love the terrain they're using there. They're coming down from the hills to fight us. And I think anybody can admit that if you're in one of these battles, and suddenly you think you're facing just the enemy in front of you, you look off to your right, and you see people, horses especially, or chariots, coming down off the hills, you're going to lose a lot of morale. I mean, that's just a scary sight, and you just realize that the enemy army is a little bit bigger than you anticipated. I'm amazed that that chariot is holding firm. Just amazed. Now, they did push our unit back, and I'm not surprised. Again, these mercenary hoplites are actually allies of the Egyptians. I'm pretty sure that the Pharaoh could afford hoplites himself, but this is actually part of an allied army. And if we take a look here, over here at Galanos, this is the allied general. Now, I'm not sure about the story of Galanos, or how he became, of course, close with the Egyptians. But certainly he is a big part of this battle. I think the first thing I want to do is try and break this unit to get our chariots out of danger. But they seem to be holding firm too, and it looks like the charge is going to be very even here. It's going to pretty much be a draw. We'll still attempt it, but it's just not going to go really in our favor. Now, over here, we've got a great thing going on, and that's going to be, we get a perfect charge here, on a flank charge on this mercenary unit. Let's do it. Disrupted. Back to Greece with you all. 66, they held firm. I don't generally charge with the skirmisher unit, and I'm not going to start now, but we're getting closer to potentially getting rid of those guys. So over here, I'm just going to hold. I'm not going to do anything. What I will do is I'm going to turn towards